Hey everyone, and welcome back to What's Going On in the Internet. I'm Peter Dawell.
And I'm Nora Kane.
And today, we're diving into something you might not expect as a computer science student.
Ansible.
Ansible, yeah. It's not just for, managing servers anymore.
Right.
We've got Wikipedia Ansible's own docs, plus training stuff from Cisco and Pluralsight. And what's really striking is how Ansible can actually streamline your projects and make your life as a student a whole lot easier.
Definitely.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty, why Ansible for computer science students? It's not like you're running these massive data centers, right?
Well, not yet, but think about all the things that you do as a computer science student.
Right.
You're constantly setting up environments, deploying code, maybe even messing around with cloud services for projects.
Yeah.
And Ansible can automate all that, freeing you up to focus on the interesting stuff.
Right.
Plus, knowing Ansible is like a golden ticket in the tech world.
Yeah.
DevOps is huge, and this is one of their core tools.
Okay, that makes sense. So for those of us who haven't encountered it yet, what exactly is Ansible?
So Ansible is at its heart about automating IT tasks.
Okay.
It's agentless, meaning you don't need to install anything on the machines that you're managing.
Oh, okay.
Just good old SSH access.
Gotcha.
And you write your instructions, which are called playbooks, in YAML, which is pretty human readable.
So no clunky interfaces or learning a whole new language?
Exactly. And the beauty is you're not limited to just basic commands.
Okay.
You have these things called modules, which are like pre-built blocks of code for very specific actions.
Mm-hmm.
Think installing software, managing files, configuring networks. Ansible's got a module for that.
Hold on, this sounds almost too easy.
Oh, right.
If it's this powerful, there's got to be a catch.
Well, like any tool, there's a learning curve.
Okay.
But Ansible is designed to be approachable, especially for people who are comfortable with the command line.
Right.
Plus, the community is amazing.
Yeah.
There's this thing called Ansible Galaxy where people share pre-built modules and roles, and you can literally find solutions for almost anything.
Okay, you've piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm sold on this whole Ansible thing.
Yeah.
What's my first step? Where do I even start?
First, you really need to understand the basic workflow.
Okay.
You'll have what's called a control node, which is basically your computer where you write the playbooks.
Right.
And then you've got what are called managed nodes, which are the systems that you want to control.
Okay.
Could be servers, network devices, even cloud instances.
And how does Ansible actually talk to these managed nodes? Is it some, proprietary protocol?
No, it's all SSH, which is part of what makes it so lightweight and secure.
Uh-huh.
Ansible connects to your managed nodes, it runs the tasks that you defined in your playbooks, and boom, automation.
Okay, and what about these playbooks themselves? Can you give us a sneak peek into, what they look like?
Sure. So playbooks are written in YAML, and YAML uses a very simple structure of key value pairs and indentation to define your tasks and configurations.
Okay.
It's very readable, even for someone who's new to coding.
Can you give me, a real-world example, maybe something a computer science student might actually use?
Let's say you're working on a project that involves setting up a web server on a virtual machine.
Okay, yeah.
With a simple Ansible playbook, you could automate that entire process.
Really?
Installing the web server software, configuring the firewall, setting up user accounts, the works.
So instead of spending, hours clicking through menus and typing commands, I could have Ansible just do it all for me.
You got it. And
Wow.
here's the kicker. You can reuse that playbook for future projects.
Oh, nice.
Or even share it with your classmates.
Right.
No more tedious setup guides or troubleshooting sessions.
Now that is what I call a time saver.
Right.
So these playbooks, they sound pretty powerful.
They are.
What else can they do besides, setting up web servers?
Well, pretty much anything you can do manually on a computer, you can automate with Ansible.
Wow.
We're talking about deploying applications, managing configurations, orchestrating complex workflows.
Right.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
All right, now you're just showing off.
Maybe a little.
But seriously, this is starting to sound like a game changer for, my actual workflow.
And that's just scratching the surface.
Oh, no.
We haven't even talked about things like roles, which help you organize your playbooks, or Ansible Vault, which keeps your sensitive data, like passwords and API keys, secure.
Wait, Ansible can even handle security.
Oh.
Now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about this Ansible Vault thing.
Well, remember how Ansible is all about automation?
Yeah.
That includes automating security best practices. And Ansible Vault lets you encrypt your sensitive data so it's never exposed in plain text, even within your playbooks.
That's a relief. I'm always paranoid about accidentally leaking my API keys.
Right.
So with Ansible Vault, I can just tell Ansible to use the encrypted data, like without actually seeing it myself.
You got it. It's like having a secure lockbox built right into your automation workflow.
Okay.
Ansible takes care of the encryption and decryption behind the scenes, so you can focus on writing your playbooks without compromising security.
Now that's what I call working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And the best part is, we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, come on.
There's so much more to explore with Ansible, from network automation to cloud orchestration to even automating your own personal computer setup.
Okay, you've officially convinced me.
Yes.
I'm ready to dive deeper into this, like, Ansible rabbit hole.
Let's do it.
What's next on our agenda?
So in the next part, we're going to get into the real meat of Ansible.
Okay.
We'll explore those roles and modules in more detail, show you some real-world examples of Ansible in action, and even point you to some resources where you can start learning and experimenting on your own.
Sounds good to me. I'm already feeling more efficient, just thinking about all the time I'm going to save.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
Great. We'll see you back here soon for part 2 of our Ansible deep dive.
See you then. Welcome back to part 2 of our Ansible adventure.
Okay, so last time we kind of established that Ansible can be a game changer, especially for computer science students, right?
Right?
So now we're going to delve into the specifics and see how it can actually streamline your workflow and make all those complex tasks a breeze.
Definitely.
So we talked about playbooks as being like the heart of Ansible, those YAML files where you kind of define your automation magic.
Yes.
Let's unpack that a little bit further.
Okay, so playbooks are where you orchestrate the symphony of automation. But what makes them truly powerful are these things called modules.
Modules, okay.
Yeah, they're like pre-built Lego blocks for specific tasks.
Okay,
So instead of writing out every single command and configuration step,
right.
I can just grab a module for, say, installing a database, and Ansible handles all the details.
So think of it like, I want to build a website.
Right?
I wouldn't start by forging my own nails and sawing lumber, right?
Exactly.
I use prefabricated components to speed up the process.
Right?
So modules are those components for your automation tasks.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Ansible comes with a vast library of modules for pretty much, I guess, anything you can think of.
Pretty much, yeah. Need to manage files. There's a module for that. Need to work with cloud services. Module need to configure a network device. Module.
Okay, but what if I need to do something really specific, something that's not covered by these built-in modules?
That's where Ansible's flexibility shines.
That's
You
okay.
can write your own custom modules using Python, which opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Oh, wow.
Plus, the Ansible community is constantly creating and sharing new modules on Ansible Galaxy.
Ansible Galaxy, it's like the app store for automation, right?
Precisely. It's this treasure trove of modules, roles, and even complete playbooks that have been contributed by Ansible users worldwide. You can find solutions for almost any automation challenge imaginable, and it's a great place to get inspiration for your own projects.
Speaking of roles, I think we briefly touched on them earlier.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on how they fit into the Ansible workflow?
Okay, so roles are essentially like blueprints for organizing your playbooks.
Okay.
Imagine you're setting up a web server.
Right.
Instead of cramming all the tasks into a single playbook, you can break them down into roles.
Okay.
One for installing the web server software, another for configuring the firewall, and so on.
It's like modularizing my automation, making it more organized and reusable.
Exactly. Roles not only make your playbooks more readable and manageable, but they also promote reusability.
Okay.
So let's say you've created a role for configuring a database server.
Right.
You can then reuse that role in other projects without having to rewrite all that code.
That's a huge time saver. It's
Yeah.
like having this library of pre-built automation components
Yes.
that I can mix and match for different projects.
Exactly. And roles also allow for better collaboration.
Yeah.
Imagine you're working on a team project.
Right.
Each team member can develop roles for their specific aspects of the project.
Yeah.
And then you can combine all of those roles into a master playbook.
This is starting to sound like a well-oiled automation machine.
It is.
But I have a question.
Yeah.
With all this power at my fingertips, wouldn't it be easy to accidentally break something?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah, what if I deploy a configuration change and it just messes up my entire system?
Right, and that's where Ansible's idempotency comes in.
Idempotency.
Yeah, idempotency means that you can run a playbook multiple times without causing unintended side effects.
Okay.
Ansible checks the current state of the system and only applies changes that are actually necessary.
So it's like a safety net that prevents me from shooting myself in the foot.
You could say that. Idempotency is a crucial concept in automation because it ensures consistency and predictability. So you can run your playbooks with confidence, knowing that Ansible won't make any unnecessary changes.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
So we've covered modules, roles, idempotency. What else do I need to know to become like an Ansible wizard?
One key aspect is understanding variables.
Variables, okay.
Variables allow you to customize your playbooks and make them more flexible.
Okay,
So let's say you have a playbook for setting up a web server,
right.
but you want to be able to deploy it on different operating systems.
Yeah.
With variables, you can define things like the package manager to use or the default configuration files.
Yeah.
And then when you run the playbook, you can specify the values for those variables based on the target system.
So instead of having separate playbooks for each operating system, I can have one playbook that kind of adapts to different environments using variables.
Exactly. Variables make your playbooks more dynamic and reusable.
Okay.
You can also use them to store sensitive information, which brings us back to Ansible Vault.
Ah, yes, the security vault for our precious secrets. So how exactly do I use Ansible Vault to, protect my sensitive data?
It's surprisingly straightforward.
Okay.
You use the Ansible Vault command to encrypt your variables or even entire files.
Okay.
And then when you run your playbook, Ansible will prompt you for the Vault password to decrypt that data.
Okay. And that password, is it stored somewhere? Or do I have to type it in every time I run the playbook?
You have different options. You can type it in manually each time, or you can use environment variables or a Vault password file.
Okay.
Ansible also supports integration with password managers for added security.
So there's multiple ways to handle Vault passwords depending on, my security needs and, I guess, workflow preferences.
Precisely. Ansible gives you the flexibility to choose the approach that best suits your environment and your security policies.
This is amazing. It's
What?
like Ansible has thought of everything.
I know, it's a pretty amazing tool.
But I have to ask, with all this automation, wouldn't it be easy to kind of lose track of what's happening?
That's a valid concern.
How do I know what Ansible is actually doing when it runs my playbooks?
Right, and that's where Ansible's output and logging features come in.
Okay.
When you run a playbook, Ansible provides very detailed output, showing you each task that's being executed and the results of that task.
Okay.
You can also configure Ansible to log all of its actions to a file for later review.
So it's like having a complete audit trail of my automation.
Exactly.
I can see exactly what changes were made, when, and by which playbook.
That's right, and this is crucial for troubleshooting and also for maintaining a clear understanding of your infrastructure.
Right.
You can even integrate Ansible with monitoring tools to get real-time insights into your automation workflows.
Wow, this is way more sophisticated than I initially imagined.
I know.
It's like Ansible is not just about automating tasks. It's about building, a comprehensive automation ecosystem.
You're getting it. Ansible's more than just a tool. It's really a framework for thinking about and implementing automation at scale.
And as a computer science student, that's a valuable mindset to develop, right?
Absolutely.
Because automation is becoming more and more important in all areas of technology.
Yes.
Ansible kind of equips you with the skills and knowledge to thrive in that world.
Right.
Okay, I'm officially an Ansible convert,
Awesome.
but there's still so much to learn.
There is, yeah.
Where do I go from here?
Welcome back to the final part of our Ansible deep dive.
So we've explored kind of the building blocks, the playbooks, the modules, the roles.
Right.
We've talked about some of Ansible's core principles like idempotency and the use of variables.
Yes.
Now I think it's time to kind of bridge the gap between theory and practice.
Definitely.
Remember all those scenarios we talked about?
Yeah.
Like setting up a development environment, deploying a web application, managing cloud resources.
Yeah.
Let's see how Ansible actually tackles these real world challenges.
All right, so let's say you're working on a machine learning project,
Okay.
which often involves setting up a pretty complex environment.
Yeah.
Very specific libraries, dependencies, configurations.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Doing this manually on every single team member's machine would be a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. But with Ansible, we can just create a playbook that defines all of those requirements, right?
Exactly. You can define the Python version, the libraries like TensorFlow or PyTorch, even GPU drivers if you're using those.
Right.
And then with a single command, Ansible can provision that entire environment on everyone's machine.
So we're ensuring consistency and saving hours of setup time.
Exactly. No more compatibility issues, no more works on my machine headaches.
Right.
Everyone starts with the same perfectly configured environment.
Ready to go. Yeah.
Ready to dive into the machine learning magic.
And it's not just about initial setup, right?
Right.
Ansible can also handle like ongoing updates and changes.
Absolutely.
Like let's say a new version of TensorFlow gets released, I can just update my playbook and rerun it. And Ansible will like seamlessly upgrade everyone's environment.
Exactly. It's like having a self-updating development environment.
That's amazing.
And this applies to web applications as well.
Okay.
Imagine you're building a web app and you need to deploy it to a server.
Right.
Manually copying files, configuring the web server, setting up databases. It's a tedious process.
Yeah. Very tedious.
And it's very prone to errors.
Oh, yeah.
But with Ansible, you can automate all of that.
Really?
Your playbook can define the entire deployment process.
Wow.
Copying the code, installing dependencies, configuring the web server, even setting up a load balancer for scalability.
Right.
And because Ansible is idempotent, remember,
Right.
you can rerun that playbook multiple times without fear of breaking things.
Right.
It only applies changes that are necessary.
It's just going to do what it needs to do.
Exactly. So you get consistency and reliability.
So I can deploy my web app with like a single command, and Ansible takes care of the rest.
Yes.
Even like complex stuff like load balancing.
Even complex stuff like load balancing.
Wow, that's incredible.
And it doesn't stop there. You can even integrate Ansible with your version control system like Git. Oh, wow.
To automate the entire deployment pipeline.
Really?
So every time you push new code, Ansible can automatically deploy those changes to your servers.
That's like continuous integration and continuous delivery.
Exactly. Ansible becomes the glue that holds your entire development workflow together,
Wow.
automating everything from environment setup to deployment and beyond.
This is incredible. This is like Ansible is taking all of the tedious and repetitive tasks off my plate
Yes.
so I can focus on like the actual coding and problem solving.
Exactly. That's the power of automation.
Right.
And remember, it's not just about saving time.
Right.
It's also about reducing errors and improving consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you automate your workflow, you minimize the risk of human mistakes.
Right.
And you ensure that your systems are always configured correctly.
And that's especially crucial in a professional setting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where reliability and security are paramount.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of security, Ansible's got our back there too, right?
Ansible has your back. We talked about Ansible Vault for like protecting sensitive data.
Right.
But Ansible also provides features for like enforcing security policies and hardening your systems.
Exactly.
So I can use Ansible to like automatically apply security best practices.
Yes.
Things like configuring firewalls, setting up user permissions, making sure my systems are up to date with like the latest security patches.
Precisely. Ansible helps you automate security, making it much easier to maintain a robust and secure environment.
It's like the ultimate Swiss Army knife, right?
That is.
For computer science students and IT professionals.
It's a very versatile and powerful tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's constantly evolving, right?
Yes. The Ansible community is incredibly active.
Yeah.
They're constantly adding new features, modules, and integrations.
So this is just the beginning of our Ansible journey, right?
This is just the beginning. There's always more to learn and explore.
I'm excited. Can you give me some pointers on where to start?
Of course.
Yeah.
The Ansible documentation is an excellent resource.
Yeah.
It provides comprehensive guides, tutorials, examples.
Awesome.
Ansible Galaxy, which we mentioned earlier, is a treasure trove of pre-built modules, roles, and playbooks.
Okay.
And there are numerous online courses and communities that are dedicated to Ansible, so you can find a lot of support there.
That's great. And I guess there's no substitute for hands-on experimentation, right?
Absolutely not. Set up a virtual machine, install Ansible, and start writing some simple playbooks.
Yeah, jump right in.
You'll be amazed at how quickly you can grasp the fundamentals and start automating your own tasks.
That's excellent advice.
Hmm.
Well, I'm feeling empowered. I'm inspired to start my Ansible journey right away.
That's great to hear. And remember, Ansible is more than just a tool. It's really a mindset,
Okay.
a way of thinking about and solving problems through automation.
That's a great way to put it. So embrace that mindset and you can unlock a world of possibilities, right?
Yes, in your computer science journey and beyond.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Ansible.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you learned something and we hope you're excited to start automating your world.
I hope so too.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology.